got to be about the car. And so he was made to slow down.
Question ici.
Bonjour, d'abord félicitations pour ce film qui s'accroche du début jusqu'à la fin, qui va à 150 à l'heure ou 300 même. Ma question s'adresse d'abord aux deux comédiens, de savoir quel a été le plus difficile dans ce film. Est-ce que ça a été de jouer la comédie ou de conduire des voitures? Et la deuxième question s'adresse plutôt au metteur en scène. À l'heure où on est sensibilisé au sort de la planète, l'environnement, etc. Est-ce que quelque part ce film n'est pas un petit peu hors d'âge, alors qu'il sanctifie la voiture, la fumée, la carburation, etc. Voilà.
All right, two-part question. Well, we start with you, James. Well, I mean, today obviously many topics about, environment, the planet, the damage obviously the cars, I mean, everything we send in the air do to our planet. Do you feel that somehow the film is almost off time, or like something as it talks about, the glory, so to speak, of cars, of speed, of fuel, etc. Did you consider that aspect of the film?
Yeah, we really should have had the cars run on vegetable oil.
Yeah, there was vegetable oil was very dirty. We should have had it electric. No, we never considered. No, I'm concerned about these issues, but I don't at all see how anymore. I don't see that kind of direct application between the topic of a film and the politics of the moment. I think I also didn't make a movie for me the point for me was the glorification of cars. I think that it was about a mission, about accomplishing something, and that would be it, yeah.
And for you, Christian and Matt, I mean, what was the most challenging? Was it the actual acting, or was it the actual driving scenes?
When it's going well, it's nice to have a challenge. Of course, you want a challenge, but when it's going well, it actually feels pretty smooth, and it did on this film. With the acting and with the driving as well. Because look, Jim's not an idiot. We have incredible racing drivers who were working on this film. We have people who race Le Mans all the time. So absolutely, I'd love to sit here and say, yeah, I did every damn bit of racing myself, but it would not have been nearly as exciting as it is in the film. So you got to let the professionals do what they do best, and then I just struggle to keep up. But it is intoxicating. It is very addictive. I did a little driving school with Bob Bonder on ahead of time. But I was under no illusion as to the fact that I was pretending to be a good racing driver rather than I am actually a good racing driver.
Good to know.
Well, I mean, a great director solves all your problems, really. So it really, and as do fellow cast members, I never felt like there was any day that got on top of me in this movie. It was like we went there knowing what we wanted to do, and at the end of every day, we kind of looked at each other and went, well, that went well. So there wasn't a day that I'd want back. Sometimes you make a movie and something, you go, oh, I'd do anything to have that scene again. I see it in a different way. It wasn't making sense to me, or I didn't have it that day, whatever it is. But I didn't feel that way on this movie. Jim's whole kind of angle of attack felt right the whole time, and everybody was kind of put in a position to do their job, and everybody did. It was really fun.
I think, like I was saying to you, Matt, earlier, the most challenging thing to me was not laughing, watching the poor bloody pit crew, the actors playing the pit crew, actually trying to look like a real pit crew, right, and do it on time.
That was brutal.
They were up against it, and it's a tough thing.
And they're using period, the period stuff, and only 3 people at once can touch the car. And Christian and I have a scene, and the camera's shooting through us, and in the background, these guys are changing 4 tires in 110-degree heat over and over and over again. It was really funny in a sadistic sort of way.
Yeah, right. Actually, turning back the question to you also, James, what was the most challenging? Were the driving scenes really challenging? Because when we see them on screen, they look amazing.
Well, for me, shooting action, the greatest challenge is patience, because it takes a long time, and succeed at. And but the other challenge I think is, and I think this is always true from where I sit, is that if you're doing a musical, you know, even a musical biopic like I did with Walk the Line, it's very easy to think the song will do all the work. When you're doing a race movie, it's easy to think that the race will do all the work, but the truth is that, at least what I try and remind myself, is that the race won't do all the work. The race would be good if it were a TV sporting event, but the reason people are coming to the movie is to get inside these characters. And so I have to shoot the race or cover the race in a way that doesn't just function in spectacle or sensory overload, but also tracks the characters, meaning that similar to a musical, meaning if you're tracking who Fred Astaire or Gene Kelly is in a movie, and then they start to sing and you lose who they are, then the movie's failing. You need to stay with who they are through the song. It's the same way, it's like when you're asking Christian and Matt about acting or driving. Well, of course they're acting when they're driving, as well as when they're standing. Acting isn't talking and driving isn't driving. Acting is acting in your character when you're driving and acting in your character when you're eating, sleeping, and talking. And so our job, it's the reminder to yourself that the job of directing never ends, that the race itself has to be the same effort to get inside the characters' minds or hearts that you would be making if it was a scene at lunch with their child or lover or anything else. That it's actually reminding yourself that all the technology and gear is irrelevant to my core job, you know.
Dernière question. Qui a le micro? Voilà.
Hi guys, thank you for being here in Paris, and thank you for this movie, it was fantastic. I have a question for Mr. Mangold. Many directors have filmed race car movies, including one award with Rush, and I want to know if you watch any of these movies or or race car movie to prepare for this one, and what was your approach to film this legendary of a race? Thank you.
Of course I've seen, the truth is there aren't that many race car movies. So to say I've seen them is, but to say I've seen less than 10 movies. So but I've seen most of them, including, by the way, Bonnie Bedelia and Heart Like a Wheel, which is a great old film which I thought had a lot of heart and was really beautiful. I watch all those movies. I feel like I learned from what I like and what I don't like in them, but I also feel like the smartest thing I've ever done, and I've done it instinctually, not intentionally, but just, is I actually avoid watching movies that are like the movie I'm making when I'm making it. Because it actually just, it fucks with my head. Like I don't want to, and I kind of, like I don't think when John Ford made a Western, he watched Westerns on DVDs. So I kind of think like, what is that habit that we're into? Like, and when I made Girl Interrupted, I would watch The Wizard of Oz every week. You know, that was more useful to me than watching a mental institution movie. And that there's just, you find different things that speak to you. Also, Michael Powell's Black Narcissus, when I made that movie. This movie, you know, I would think as much about the work of George Roy Hill or Westerns or other things that might not be as obviously applicable to a race car movie. Because I feel like there's more of a creative jump you can take translating lessons from another genre into the one you're making. When you're watching another director meet the same kind of challenges you're meeting, you end up imitating or rejecting, which neither is a very pure impulse, as opposed to translating or something else, which is, was there a second question or did I answer it?
The second question was, what was the approach for you to film this legendary of a race?
I think I kind of answered it. I mean, to get in the heart of these guys. If there was any goal at the core of it, was that I wanted to make an action film that worked for adults, which is to say it wasn't a film geared towards 12 or 13-year-olds, and that even some of the race car movies, I mean, I don't think it's any secret that movies like Fast and Furious are not, you know, high intellectual properties. So that
Now wait a minute.
but But the point being that I was trying to make something that functioned as an adult drama with action, as opposed to functioning as a kind of popcorn movie only. And so that was my kind of core focus.
Thank you, action and heart. Thank you very much for coming.